What's going on, everyone? I am Ernest Dove. This is the New York Mets Dove Report. On this week's show, I'm going to talk about the fall stars in the Mets organization. Let's talk Nick Morabido. Let's talk Chris Suero. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff in their past, the player development wise, what the coaches and staff have been telling me behind the scenes for the last year or two that are now developing. I also want to get into some other extra news and notes at the end of the segment about some other player development wise, some of the other hitting prospects that are outside the top 30 that you guys should know about. But let's start. Let's talk about it. Chris Suero, who seems to hit a home run every other game in the Arizona Fall League, not technically a surprise, even though the West Coast ball can travel possibly a little bit different, as you know, in the Pacific Coast League and other stuff out there. So keep that in mind. But Chris Suero has been hitting home runs all during the minor league season this year, and now he's carrying it over in the Arizona Fall League. Super excited about Chris Suero, who I've been talking about for a year or two. When I was originally asking about Chris Suero as pretty much, I believe, a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, I was hearing about some of the stuff about him. Now, again, he's a late signing guy as an international free agent. I believe he didn't sign till he was 18 years old, which is like old considering IFA standards of sorts, which is why he only got a $10,000 signing bonus. Can you believe that? Ever since then, asking about him, even from last year, who was Chris Suero, I was told that he's a super elite athlete. Makes sense, pro athlete, but in general, what they're saying is he's extremely athletic and versatile, which is why when I asked even from last year, can he catch? Can he fall as a left fielder, as a backup plan, even first base? And the staff basically told me, dude, doesn't matter. He can play all three equally. He's that much of an uber athlete. He can handle anything. And I think he's going to get better offensively. Even talking to another staff last year about his specific catching, I was being told even from the 2024 season, week to week, he was improving at the catcher side. He's been working at it extremely well. Even during this past season, talking with some of the pitchers, they say Chris Suero will live and die for me on the mound every game as long as I'm on the mound. He's that type of teammate. He's that type of kind of peer role model in the dugout. He has a fire and intensity that he shows on the field and off. So he's motivated. He's going to be a guy to watch. Even talking to some of the higher ups in the Mets organization, it looks like pretty much, even almost by default, to be honest, based on his age, he's the number one catching prospect now in the Mets farm system. Some of the other guys that are really good and could be really good, they're like teenagers. They're still 18, 19 years old. You guys know how I feel about Giovanni Rodriguez. In the next year or two, I still believe in him big time. But right now, upper minors wise, Chris Suero's the guy. You have Hayden Senger. I'm a fan of Hayden Senger as a nice kind of depth guy. I've heard a lot of good things about Matt O'Neill, who I believe is at this point is even a minor league free agent. If they're able to bring him back and retain him, I can see a Matt O'Neill as a version of a Senger, as a depth guy in the Mets organization to help in a lot of ways and provide value. But Chris Suero, right now, he's the guy now at catcher, and he can actually still play left field or first base. So think about that again. I've been saying it online. Chris Suero, if he makes the major leagues, he's on a 26-man roster. You could actually carry a third catcher if you needed, because he can still fill in during a game if you need to put a guy as a pinch hitter, or even Chris Suero as a pinch runner, because he steals a lot of bases, by the way, too, everybody. Maybe he's got one of those things like the Philly catcher. He can run at the same speed, maybe even more. So this is something exciting about Chris Suero. But again, the player development-wise, he's progressing as a true super athlete should, as he's progressing now defensively as catcher. Now the power showing. It could show even more in 2026. Now, the other guy, obviously, Nick Morabido. I've been talking about him for a couple of years now. I believe he was about 20 years old when I really started asking questions to the Mets staff about Nick Morabido, high school draft pick. But I've been asking, like, hey, what's going on? Even from the complex league, he was putting up some kind of like incredible numbers. But they were saying he's more of a project kid. Even as a 20-year-old, they felt he's not at the same pace as maybe a guy like a Jet Williams, who was skyrocketing kind of up the levels kind of fast out of high school. They felt Nick Morabido's player development a little bit slower, but they believed he could progress big time in the next couple of years. That's what they said when he was about 20. Here we are, fast forward. I believe he's about 22 years old at this point. Now it's thriving at the AA level, and here he is being a fall star, doing really well at the Arizona Fall League. And it's stuff that I'm excited about, the walk to K ratio in this extreme small sample size of Arizona Fall League. It's the best he's ever had pretty much in pro ball. The K rate was getting high, especially at the AA level, the show me level. So to have this kind of short spurt progression in the Arizona Fall League, I want to see how it progresses. But Nick Morabido, who is Rule 5 eligible, by the way, what do you do? He has super speed. We know that. He might be the fastest player in the Mets farm system. It could be debatable. There's other guys with a lot of speed, including a Jet Williams. But he might be, and of course, A.J. Ewing as well. But Nick Morabido, with that speed, can he have enough hit tool? Everyone keeps worrying about it as he continues to hit pretty much 300 all through minor league baseball. Everyone keeps waiting for the shoe to drop in today's analytics because he's not a home run bat, which, by the way, I think he belted maybe one home run in Arizona Fall League so far, which is cool. But he can hit some doubles. But he puts the ball on the ground, he's getting to first base. I don't see him as he needs to steal first base kind of hitter. I believe he's better than that. Obviously, a lot to show, still a lot more to prove in the upper minors, AA, hopefully AAA. But Nick Morabido is a guy. And again, this is a 2-year progression now that we've been seeing, the staff has been seeing, I've been following. I think he continue to progress. He can play all 3 outfield positions really well. I don't know about elite, but I believe that, maybe I don't know about a Tyrone Taylor level, but he could be a Tyrone Taylor positional guy on the roster without Tyrone Taylor power. That is something to look for even in 2026. Would you even call up a guy like Nick Morabido if he's still in the organization? You could always try to trade him. But while he's here, you could bounce him around all 3 outfield positions. He could be another version of Luis Angel Acuna. So that's the question, right? Can he have a similar-ish or a better hit tool than Luis Angel Acuna? Are they too similar offensively with their profile? We shall see. But he's another guy who can replace other guys. So it'll be fun to see. I'm excited about Nick Morabido. Before I go, again, player development. We're talking about this for years, right? Where's the next Alonso? Where's the next David Wright? It's starting to come. We already know about Carson Benj. Within a calendar year, he's a top 50 prospect in baseball after his draft. So shout out to somebody, right? Shout out to the drafts, amateur scouting. Shout out to Mets player development for seeing the right guy as an amateur and for developing him fast. Now you have other guys, some of the behind-the-scenes guys I've been talking about, Randy Guzman and Yanni Enriquez. These are 2 guys that I've been kind of hyping about during the 2025 season, more player development guys. Maybe they could be guys in the future Arizona Fall League next year. Enriquez is a guy, one of those guys like a Jacob Reimer. The hitting lab has really helped Yanni Enriquez, or Jonathan Enriquez, really helped by the hitting lab. He follows directions. He's implementing it. Everything he's being taught to, coached with, player development. He's been hearing everything. Same with Randy Guzman, who seemed like he had the most ridiculous season. He should be like a version of comeback player of the year in pro baseball for the Mets, considering what he did in 2024 as basically a 200 hitter who was probably going to be released. 2025, all of a sudden, boom. He's hitting like crazy. He's showing everything. You saw it in my interview with Brett Banks. Even he talks about it, I believe, or other guys have been talking about Randy Guzman, the professional, the role model, the gel that keeps the team together in the dugout. Randy Guzman is special. Even talking to the staff, they said, hey, that's the kind of role model he is. I believe he's fully bilingual, even as a young player. He speaks and supports and models to all players in both languages. He's a legit guy. He could be a legit prospect in 2026. If more people start to talk about Randy Guzman or Jonathan Enriquez, you're going to know you've already heard him here first. And again, Chris Suero, top catching prospect in the Mets organization. Nick Morabido, do you Rule 5 protect? I would say you have to at this point. If you're going to protect a guy like Alex Rodriguez, the guy when they were saving certain other guys, protecting certain guys. Sorry, Alex Ramirez. if you're going to protect Rule 5 Alex Ramirez that year, why not protect a Nick Morabido this year? It's important. Kind of go for it. There's not really a bad thing that can happen. I think if a team is going to draft him, they'll have him on the bench. They'll have him play all 3 outfield spots. They'll get through the year if you leave him unprotected. Protect him. Protect all of our Mets prospects, and also protect me. Subscribe to the channel. Continue to follow and support me. I want to make more videos as they come. It is now truly officially off season, which means moves are going to start to be made. I'll be in the grieving process if guys do get traded this off season. I'll give you the lowdown. I'll give you the info. I can even try to at least respectfully and hopefully give you guys that can now replace the guys that were just traded away. That'll be my job. Your guys' job is to listen. Thank you for watching again. I'll see you next time.